Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Dublin Tech Talks podcasts. As always, we're delighted to be partnered with Icon Accounting, one of Ireland's leading contract solution providers. If you're needing accounting advice or considering setting up your own business, please reach out to the guys at Icon Accounting. On today's show, we have Criona Turley, CEO of Capella. Capella is an Irish business that is working with businesses to ensure their employees have a safe working environment, whether they're working from their main office or from home. They have a technology-led solution that can address employers' liability around staff working safely from home. Hope you enjoy. Thank you, Criona Turley, founder of Capella, being on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a million for having me, Gavin.
So Capella, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, about your business, and
Sure.
kind of what problem you're here to solve?
Yeah, sure. So this time a couple of years ago, I was running a business that designed beautiful offices, and we were very much into employee engagement and staff retention, and there was a huge piece of work around that, and we were doing very well. This time last year, it became really clear to me that companies wouldn't be spending money on the beautiful offices anymore, and that people that I had been working with for years really needed my help around how they were going to manage staff working from home. So while traditionally I would have been kind of dealing in design and employee engagement for the office, we took all of our experience and all of our resources really, and we put it into coming up with a solution which involved technology to support employers with staff who were working from home. Obviously, you can't go out to people's houses and do a full ergonomic assessment and setup with them anymore. Our insurance company would have a huge issue with that. But so we developed a solution that is an online solution where employees just log in remotely, activate their account, and go through online training and then an online risk assessment.
Okay, great. And we'll get more into the actual
Sure.
tool in a couple of minutes. When did, companies were a bit reluctant, obviously, to work from home. We're all working from home now, or the vast majority of us, and it will be a large emphasis for businesses moving forward. What do businesses have to do to rethink that, non-physical space? What would you be there? What would the first thing you'd look for, talk to when you engage in a business?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose just there's a different statistic on every website you look at, but basically over 80% of the world went remote suddenly in March of 2020. And most businesses, over half of those businesses, had never done that before, and it had never been part of their policy. It had never been something that they went looking for. A year on, businesses are making it work, some more than others. We're working with a lot of companies around their policy going forward. What's the future of work going to look like for them? So we're kind of beginning to bring back in the design of what a workspace in the future will look like. And what we're finding is a lot of clients are saying, okay, my lease is up in a month or so I'm going to hand back one floor of the building, and I'm going to make a collaborative space where people can dip in and out of when they need to collaborate with their colleagues, and there will be hot desks, and it'll be properly designed and socially distanced. But ultimately, working from home is part of the future of work, and that's absolutely the message we're getting. You're getting the 3-day, 2-day split in some companies, and how companies address that and the supports they put in place for staff. That's really important. That's what 2021 is going to be about.
Yeah, it was anybody who had listened to me about 6-7 months ago, I was saying this very point, that businesses now have to consider people working from home, and when they're interviewing them or when they're assessing them to join the company, is what's their physical workspace going to be. So when I saw you on the news last week, it was my ears picked up, because I feel it is going to be an area that I think a lot of businesses will be caught on the hop, and working from your kitchen isn't working from home 2-3 days a week. So the physical space is going to be really important. Yeah. So as a business or as a technology tool, how are you solving that problem then for businesses?
Yeah, so it's funny, just going back on what you said there, everyone has a wellness budget, and they're putting it into, or all big companies have wellness, and they're putting it into wellness. But I feel like people aren't looking at the actual physical well-being of the person sitting in the space. And you know, you're seeing people all this time later, and they're suffering from migraines, they're suffering from backache, and they've been sitting on a stool. So by law, companies have to inform themselves of the workspace. You're just as liable for an employee working in the office or working at home if they're working for you. And that doesn't mean that if they fall in the shower at 11 o'clock at night, they're going to sue the employer. And to be honest with you, we're seeing what's coming through, and that's not coming through. You know, the idea of frivolous claims, that's not coming through. But what we're doing is giving, so addressing the legal liability, first of all, addressing what the employer has to do by law in a really slick way. And in a kind of hands-off way for the employer. We get a list of email addresses, and we work with GDPR consultants, and we'd be quite heavily data regulated. So you send us the email addresses of your employees, and then an activation code goes out to the employee in an email. They jump on to our portal, they set themselves up, and they go into the first step would be like a consent page. So everyone knows what this is for. This is designed to support employers in the liability. So when they move into the training is time-stamped, so we know that they did it. And that's all important, you know. Everyone's really, really busy, but this is important. So we know they've done it. Then they go into a questionnaire that's based around what you need to know by law as an employer, and then a few extra questions. So we're also trying to address, even going back to our roots in employee engagement. You know, this is a really important tool to show your employees that you do care and that you are interested in their well-being while working from home. And it's a really good touch point afterwards for the manager to go back and talk to the employee and say, listen, I got your report, I see here, you know. And it's that touch point that a lot of employers are looking for in all of this to engage with their employees. Then you upload a photograph of your desk and your chair. And we have software in the background that measures that up in terms of compliance. And then there's the human factor as well. All that information comes in together, and one of the ergonomic managers in the business will sit down, look at everything, and do a formal risk assessment. But they're getting a lot of the measurements and stuff like that from the software.
Okay, and is it the same? You know, I'm guessing the same rules apply for at home as in the office. If you're, you know, X amount of space in the desk, you know.
Sure, yeah, it's a little bit obviously, you know what, the Health and Safety Authority isn't there to trap employers. It's very collaborative. If the employee, there are certain criteria that the employee has to meet at home to be safe. You can't sit on a stool or a beanbag for a year. You know, so certainly we'll see straight away if there's a problem or not. And where this is really handy for employers is that will, at the click of a button, you'll be able to see any high risk cases. So if you have 100 employees, you're not trolling through loads of emails and photographs and questionnaires to try and find the one that needs to be dealt with. You get that in one click of a button from us, and you'll be able to deal with them straight away. And then as a company, you can decide whether you want to, what policy you want to implement, whether you want to send everyone a chair, whether you want to send out the chairs from the office, whether you don't want to get into big furniture bills, and maybe you just talk to people about a more suitable space in their home or something like that. But what we're seeing, there are a few clangers that really do need to be dealt with, and as an employer, you need to deal with them. And you'll see some people who are kind of saying, oh, my back hurts and stuff like that. And you need to help those people. But what we're seeing isn't that bad, to be honest with you. I sometimes think employers are afraid to open up a can of worms. But it's like going and checking your bank account and you're afraid you have no money, and you look in it and actually you're doing okay. You know, there's a couple of things you need to address, but you can pay the rent this month. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned just something there about nearly the ostrich, the business keeping the head in the sand till that. This is a very important area for businesses. You know, it's the health and safety of your employees. It's being proactive rather than the reactive side of you know, HR or, you know, whoever is going to be responsible for this. Have you seen over the last 3-6 months a more proactive business led conversations, or is it still very much a a slow burner for organizations?
So different organizations are handling it in different ways. Some of the large organizations tackled it like head on in the early days and have rollout of this implemented, and they're finishing off going and talking to every employee. SMEs are more tentative. I suppose there's two aspects to it. You have to do it by law, so it will have to be done, and who knows when we're actually all going to be vaccinated, and when strict implementing working from home is going to be lifted. But this will be part of the solution going forward. So it's something that employers have to do, but you need to do it from just an employee engagement and wellness point of view. Take some of the wellness budget and put it into the physical body of the person. Absolutely, there's a place for houseplant clinics and yoga, and there is that kind of that collaboration with your colleagues, that you really want. But there is also a place for the physical body that people just don't know how to do this, and they shouldn't have to. It's easily explained. Ours is a half-hour process, and the difference it makes to people is huge.
Yeah, no, I'm completely behind. When I started working from at home, it was the first thing I did was buy a good chair. I was working, I think, on a kitchen chair, and it was the first thing I bought, and the difference it made. Even the where your screen is based, and your desk and everything like that. I interviewed lots of people during the week, and you'd be scared of the amount of people who are still working in a non-safe working space, and if people want to be allowed or seen to work from home, I truly believe that they have to create a space within their house or wherever to do that. And it's great to say if you do have the space to be able to do it, it's the people that can't do it. And how would you on that? A lot of people live in one bed apartments, or in a co-work or co-living space. Is there a way around that for businesses, or how would you kind of go about advising on that?
Yeah, so there's a lot that can be done on that, and when the employer gets the risk assessment, it's a risk assessment by employee, and there will be things called out, and there will be what we call in health and safety parlance control measures, so suggestions on how to fix it. Some of them are actually tweaks that will make a huge difference. If you have someone who is not safe working from home, who is sitting in a shed with cans of paint above their head on shelves they've put up themselves, and from old-fashioned health and safety, that's a no-no. And if that person has no other place to go, then what we're finding with employers is that the employer is having a conversation about that person going back into the office in a safe environment, in a managed, socially distanced way. Because whether it's that or it's real mental health issues where someone is locked in the same room that they sleep in, and it's a tiny room and they spend all day there, if it's not suitable for them, the company will make a decision, and they'll talk to them. They'll talk to the employee and see what works for them, see is there somewhere for them to go, and inevitably there will be somewhere else for them to go. But if none of that works, then as an employer, you'd have to say to yourself, can I stand over the fact that my employee is safe working in that environment? And if you had a company van and you sent it in for a service, and they told you the brakes were pretty much gone, but you said to yourself, God, I don't want to be getting into brakes now. I'm going to let our delivery driver drive that round, and it'd be very rare that brakes would go and he's going to have a crash. So I'm going to take a chance on that. It's kind of, when you put it in that context, it kind of just begins to make sense in terms of health and safety. So yeah, as a company, the management team will end up, when they get this report, sitting down and having a chat about what, as a company, they want to do going forward, and we're here to help them with that. And we're finding a lot of our clients have turned this into part of an induction process for new employees joining. So we might, we might do 100, we might do 10, we might do 50. But then as new employees join on our system, you have your own dashboard as a company, and you can pop in and just upload a new email address and get a new assessment carried out.
Okay, brilliant. I won't take up much more of your time. Just with maybe the last point with the remote working strategy going to be rolled out for very soon, I believe. What should businesses do moving forward, apart from obviously engage with yourself straight away? What should businesses make as a priority? Maybe the top 3 things they should be doing, or should, if they're not already looking at this as a problem.
I think I could probably think about that all weekend and come back to you with 3 points. But I think the most important thing, just talking to you here now, is don't drift into the future work for your organization. Actually put some thought into it, and sit down and decide what you're going to be as a business, how you're going to support your employees if they're working from home, how you're going to support them while coming back into the office when all this begins to lift, and how you're going to, or how you want to address that collaboration between employees that's missing now. If you had 10 employees who all have huge home offices and don't have children bursting through the door, which could happen here any second, by the way, maybe your productivity has shot right up and you love it and you're an introverted person. But most businesses are seeing a real mix. And we ran our own survey here in Capella. Are you missing that Friday feeling? Do you want to go and have a drink with your colleagues, or go and have a cupcake afternoon in the canteen? And funnily enough, it was a 50-50 split. So you can't assume anything. What you need to do is talk to your employees, as a management team, and decide the future of work in your organization.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mil. As a person that didn't think they'd miss going into the office every day, I do miss that, going for a walk, for a coffee, or
Well, maybe that's the hybrid model, and that's what everyone's talking about.
I really think the hybrid model will come back in. There's people who will want 100% remote, and that might be working for an organization that's outside of the country or county. But I personally think a 2-day, 3-day week will be the norm on a
I think so too.
But no, thanks, Mil, for your time today. If people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way? Is it through LinkedIn directly?
In contact with me through LinkedIn, Criona Turley. In contact with me on the website as well, Capella, CAPELLA.ie.
I'll put all that information at the bottom.
Thanks a million.
But thanks, Mil, for your time today. It was really interesting. And we'll talk to you soon. And that was Criona Turley, CEO of Capella. We hope you enjoyed that talk. I think it's a really important area for 2021. Health and safety, working from home is going to be massive. If you like what you heard, please follow us, hit the subscribe button, follow us on LinkedIn, comment, like, share. We always love to hear you. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Bye-bye.